Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, there's a heaviness you can't shake. Your muscles ache. Your mind feels foggy. You tell yourself it's just age catching up. But what if it isn't? What if it's something far more subtle and far more dangerous? A silent deficiency that millions of people carry without ever realizing. A hidden thief draining energy, stealing sleep, even putting the heart at risk. That thief is magnesium deficiency. And the most shocking part? While so many people spend hard-earned money on fancy supplements, the most powerful natural magnesium sources are already sitting in the refrigerator, waiting to be noticed. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the Longevity channel and join our community. Here, you'll always find practical, science-backed ways to stay vibrant, strong, and independent as you age. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing how far our community stretches across the world. Now, let's dive in. Our bodies need magnesium every single day, 310 to 420 milligrams, depending on whether you're male or female. After 50, nutrition experts even suggest aiming for 500 to 600 milligrams because aging makes absorption more difficult. Stress, daily coffee, and medications so many of us rely on only make the problem worse. Yet what's heartbreaking is that most people don't even know when their body is crying out for help. They think constant fatigue is just getting older. They accept night cramps as something inevitable. They laugh off forgetfulness when they can't remember where they put their glasses. But these are not harmless quirks of aging. These are warning signs that the body is running on empty. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher named Mary. She came to me exhausted, frustrated, and convinced she was just old. But when we looked deeper, we found she was drastically low in magnesium. Within weeks of shifting her diet, not with supplements, but with real foods, her energy transformed. She laughed one day in my office and said, "I feel like I got a piece of myself back. That's the kind of change I want for you. Magnesium is no small player in the body. It's behind over 300 biochemical reactions. Think about that. 300 processes depending on one mineral, from making energy at the cellular level, to steadying your heartbeat, to keeping blood pressure calm, to helping your brain fire on all cylinders. When it's missing, the system falters. When it's replenished, life feels different. The real danger is that after age 50, absorption rates fall dramatically. Add digestive issues, which many people face, and it becomes even harder for the body to hold on to the magnesium it needs. This is why so many older adults can't shake fatigue or poor sleep, no matter how many hours they spend in bed. Now, the common response is to reach for supplements. And I'll be clear, supplements can help. But they're not the whole answer. They're often expensive, sometimes poorly absorbed, and never meant to replace the powerful natural sources already available in everyday foods. Real food provides magnesium along with fiber, antioxidants, healthy fats, and countless other compounds that no pill can fully replicate. That's why, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the top 10 magnesium-rich foods. These are not exotic or impossible to find. These are familiar, affordable, and incredibly powerful. Foods that not only give you magnesium, but also work with your body's natural rhythms to restore energy, protect the heart, and stabilize the mind. By the end, you'll see how simple it can be to build meals that give you 500 milligrams of magnesium a day without swallowing a single supplement. But before we step into the list, you need to understand one critical truth. Not all magnesium on labels makes it into your bloodstream. Two major factors decide what your body actually gets. The first is portion size. Labels list nutrients per 100 grams of food, but how often do you sit down and eat 100 grams of spinach in one meal? The second is anti-nutrients, natural compounds in plants like oxalates and phytates. These act as a shield for plants, but can block your body from absorbing 25 to 60% of magnesium. It means that a food that looks rich in magnesium on paper might deliver only half, or less, once it passes through your digestive system. So as we go through this journey together, I'll not only give you the numbers, I'll explain what's truly usable. That way, you'll walk away with practical knowledge you can apply at your very next meal. Now let's begin our countdown, starting with number 10. Leafy greens, spinach, bok choy, kale. On the surface, they look like magnesium superstars, 79 to 81 milligrams per 100 grams. But here's the catch. A real salad plate usually has about 30 grams of greens. And oxalates, which these vegetables are full of, slash magnesium absorption by half. So that big bowl of spinach you're proud of, it's only giving you about 12 milligrams of usable magnesium. Now don't get me wrong, greens are incredible for health. They're packed with vitamins, fiber, and protective plant compounds. But if you're depending on them as your main magnesium source, you'll come up short. Number 9 takes us to fruits and berries. Bananas, avocados, blackberries. On paper, they provide 20 to 29 milligrams per 100 grams. The good news? Fruits don't have anti-nutrients, so what you see is what you get. A banana truly gives you 27 milligrams, and a handful of berries delivers exactly what the label promises. They're also light on the digestive system, making them a steady way to top up magnesium. If you're watching your weight, reach for berries over bananas. They deliver the nutrients with fewer carbohydrates. And now number 8, non-starchy. Vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. At first glance, their magnesium numbers aren't jaw-dropping, 15 to 23 milligrams per 100 grams, but their secret weapon is low anti-nutrient levels. That means much of what you eat is absorbed. A serving can net you 21 to 38 milligrams of truly usable magnesium. Even better, they pair beautifully with animal proteins, forming balanced meals that stabilize energy and digestion. Now, let's move to number 7, dairy products. This often surprises people. Cheese, milk, yogurt. They're not usually the first foods that come to mind for magnesium, yet they contain 24 to 28 milligrams per 100 grams. The real advantage? Absolutely no anti-nutrients. A glass of milk, about 7 ounces, delivers up to 48 milligrams of magnesium you'll absorb fully. Cheese adds a steady boost, too. And remember, dairy gives you calcium and magnesium together, a powerful duo for bone and joint health after age 50. We're only just starting, but you can already see the picture forming. Real foods offer magnesium in ways pills never could. In the next part, we'll continue climbing this list, moving into foods that not only supply magnesium, but also bring unexpected benefits for heart, brain, and even mood. Number 6 may surprise you because it's something many people already keep in their pantry. Whole grains. Oats, whole wheat bread, brown rice, buckwheat. On paper, the numbers look promising. Oats can hold up to 125 milligrams of magnesium per 100 grams, whole wheat bread about 76, and cooked brown rice about 25. But here's the sobering truth. Grains are high in anti-nutrients. These compounds can rob you of 20 to 50% of the magnesium listed on the label. That means a hearty bowl of brown rice might only give you a fraction of what you thought. And with modern wheat, we face another complication. Glyphosate residues and gluten sensitivity can cause inflammation in some people, especially as the gut becomes more delicate with age. It doesn't mean you should fear grains altogether, but it does mean you need to eat them wisely, in balance, and pay attention to how your body responds. Then comes number 5, and here's the part chocolate lovers celebrate: dark chocolate and cocoa. Pure cocoa powder is loaded, packing as much as 500 milligrams of magnesium per 100 grams. Dark chocolate, especially with 85% cacao or higher, offers 228 milligrams. Even with anti-nutrients trimming absorption, a small 1-ounce piece still gives you around 51 milligrams of magnesium, along with flavonoids that protect your heart and brain. I remember one man in his 60s, a lifelong chocoholic, who grinned ear to ear when I told him his small square of dark chocolate each evening wasn't just a guilty pleasure, It was medicine. Of course, the key is moderation. Choose high cacao content, low sugar, and let chocolate become both indulgence and nourishment. Number 4 leads us to legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans. These humble foods are often overlooked, but their magnesium content is impressive. Up to 115 milligrams per 100 grams in chickpeas. Yet, like grains, they carry a heavy load of anti-nutrients, sometimes blocking half the mineral content. But there's a solution, one that's been used for centuries in traditional kitchens: soaking and cooking them properly. When beans are soaked overnight and cooked in a pressure cooker, anti-nutrients break down. What was once locked away becomes available to your body. That's the wisdom of older generations resurfacing, reminding us that how we prepare food matters as much as what we eat. A bowl of properly prepared beans can provide 22 to 69 milligrams of magnesium, along with protein and fiber that keep blood sugar steady and digestion smooth. Then there's number 3. Fish: salmon, sardines, halibut, mackerel. The ocean has always been a treasure chest for human health, and here's another reason why. Fish contain magnesium without a trace of anti-nutrients, meaning you absorb every milligram. Depending on the type, a portion of fish can give you 38 to 90 milligrams of pure, usable magnesium. Mackerel stands out, 90 milligrams per serving, plus the omega-3 fatty acids that soothe inflammation, protect the heart, and sharpen the brain. When I tell patients to eat more fish, I'm not just helping them with magnesium. I'm giving them a nutrient package that's hard to beat: protein, healthy fats, minerals, all in one. And then we move into the top 2, the real heavyweights of magnesium nutrition. Number 2 is nuts: almonds, cashews, walnuts, Brazil nuts. Dense, portable, and delicious, they carry magnesium in abundance. Almonds contain 270 milligrams per 100 grams, cashews about 292, and Brazil nuts up to 376. A small handful, just 1 ounce, still delivers 31 to 73 milligrams of magnesium. But here's the caution. Nuts, especially almonds and Brazil nuts, can trigger allergies or sensitivities if eaten too often. Cashews, while rich, also have higher carbohydrate content. So the lesson is moderation. Use them as a concentrated tool, not an endless snack. I once had a patient who swapped her mid-afternoon cookies for a small handful of almonds. In just a few weeks, she told me her energy didn't crash at 3 p.m. anymore. That's the power of these little giants. And finally, number 1, the champions of magnesium: seeds, chia, flax, pumpkin, sunflower, hemp. They are small, but they are mighty. Hemp seeds especially, with an incredible 700 milligrams of magnesium per 100 grams. Just a tablespoon, less than an ounce, delivers 91 milligrams, nearly a quarter of what most adults need in a day. Sprinkle them on yogurt, toss them in smoothies, or just eat them straight. Pumpkin seeds, with 262 milligrams per 100 grams, are another easy winner. And while anti-nutrients play a role here too, the sheer concentration of magnesium makes seeds an unbeatable source. Every single day, I recommend people in their 50s and 60s add a spoonful of seeds to their meals. It's simple, affordable, and powerful. But here's where things get urgent. It doesn't matter how many magnesium-rich foods you add if the silent thieves in your diet keep robbing you blind. And those thieves are everywhere: white sugar, white flour, and industrial oils. These 3 account for nearly 60% of the calories in the modern American diet. Think about that. More than half of what many people eat each day has almost no magnesium. White sugar? 0. White flour? Practically 0. Industrial oils like soybean and canola? Also 0. And worse, these foods don't just fail to give magnesium, they deplete it. They inflame, they stress the system, they demand nutrients to process, leaving you even more deficient. That's why so many people, even those eating fruits and vegetables, still struggle with low magnesium. They're filling their plates with emptiness. When you start swapping those empty foods for the foods we've just talked about, you don't just add magnesium, you shift your entire health trajectory. Sleep deepens, energy rises, the heart steadies, the mind clears. It's not a miracle, it's biology responding to nourishment it's been craving. In the next part, I'm going to take you deeper into this truth. Not just the foods, but the way real people have rebuilt their lives by changing their magnesium intake. Stories of transformation that prove food is still the most powerful medicine we have. I want to share something personal with you. Years ago, when I first began focusing on aging and nutrition, I met a man named Robert. He was 62 at the time, a former mechanic with calloused hands and a stubborn attitude. He came to see me because his blood pressure was creeping up, his sleep was broken, and he felt worn out before noon. He swore it was just old age. But after listening closely, I suspected something deeper. His diet was heavy in bread, coffee, and processed snacks. Almost no fresh produce, nuts, or seeds. We tested him, and sure enough, his magnesium levels were low. Instead of handing him a supplement bottle, I challenged him. Let's try food first. Reluctantly, he agreed. 3 months later, he walked back into my office, grinning. "Doc," he said, "I don't nod off after lunch anymore. My legs don't cramp at night, and my wife says I snore less. That's the power of magnesium when it comes from food. Slow, steady, life-changing." Now, why am I telling you Robert's story? Because it shows us something most people miss. Supplements are quick. Fixes food is transformation. Supplements can fill a gap, but they rarely fix the root. Real foods not only provide magnesium, they provide the fiber that calms digestion, the antioxidants that fight cellular damage, and the healthy fats that stabilize hormones. They're complex packages of life, and your body knows how to use them. And that brings us to a crucial question. What's standing in the way? Why are so many people still magnesium deficient even with all this knowledge available? One reason is habit. Modern eating patterns are built on convenience. Grab a pastry, a soda, a processed snack. They're cheap, fast, and everywhere. But the cost comes later, in fatigue, anxiety, and disease. Another reason is misconception. People think if they eat healthy by having a salad now and then, they're covered. But as we've seen, spinach doesn't deliver nearly as much magnesium as the label suggests. Without variety, without combining foods intelligently, you can eat healthy and still miss out. Let's look at another example. Linda, a 58-year-old accountant, came to me complaining of constant headaches and poor focus. She lived on diet sodas and sandwiches between long hours at her desk. Her blood work showed mild hypertension and low magnesium. Instead of medication right away, I encouraged her to replace the sodas with mineral water and add a handful of pumpkin seeds and some yogurt into her daily meals. Within 6 weeks, the headaches that plagued her for years began fading. She felt calmer, her focus sharpened, and she finally realized she'd been running on fumes. These stories aren't rare. They're everyday proof that magnesium plays a deeper role than most people realize. Think about it. This mineral relaxes muscles, including the most important one, your heart. It calms the nervous system, quiets stress signals, and allows deep, restorative sleep. It supports steady energy production inside the mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses of your cells. Without enough magnesium, every system struggles. Here's something else I've seen over decades of practice. Many people in their 50s and 60s live with unexplained anxiety. They chalk it up to stress, family, or just how life is now. But low magnesium often amplifies those feelings. When the nervous system is deprived of magnesium, it becomes jumpy, reactive, unable to settle. Restoring magnesium can feel like turning down the static on a radio. You suddenly hear the music of life more clearly. But this doesn't mean simply piling magnesium-rich foods onto your plate. Remember, balance matters, portion size matters, preparation matters. For example, if you snack on raw nuts all day, you may irritate digestion or trigger sensitivities. If you eat beans without soaking them, you may block more magnesium than you absorb. Food is powerful, but it's also nuanced. That's why I always encourage a diverse approach. Seeds in the morning smoothie, portion of fish at lunch, some dark chocolate after dinner, and greens scattered throughout the day. Each one adds up, layering magnesium gently into the body until the tank is full again. I also want to pause for a moment and ask you something. Have you ever noticed that certain cravings seem impossible to resist, like chocolate, nuts, or even salty foods? Many times cravings are your body's way of asking for minerals it's missing. I've seen people who craved chocolate daily, only to discover they were severely magnesium deficient. Once they started eating magnesium-rich foods more intentionally, their cravings calmed. Your body is wiser than you think. It speaks, but only if you know how to listen. The solution doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start small. Replace white flour bread with a slice of whole grain or buckwheat. Swap chips for a handful of cashews. Stir a spoonful of hemp seeds into your yogurt. These are not radical changes. They're gentle swaps. But together they build a foundation of resilience. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper into what happens when you ignore magnesium deficiency for too long, the silent toll it takes on the heart, bones, and brain, and why waiting until symptoms are severe is a gamble you can't afford to take. I've often said to my patients, magnesium deficiency is like a crack in the foundation of a house. At first, you hardly notice it. The house still stands, life goes on. But over time, that crack spreads. The walls shift, the floors tilt, the doors don't quite close anymore. Eventually, the structure weakens. And that's exactly how magnesium deficiency works. It begins subtly. Fatigue here, a cramp there. But if ignored, it can quietly undermine some of the most vital systems in your body. The heart is one of the first places where this deficiency leaves its mark. Magnesium helps regulate the electrical impulses that keep your heartbeat steady. Without it, the rhythm becomes fragile, sometimes racing, sometimes skipping, often leaving you anxious or unsettled. I've had patients come to me convinced they were facing a heart attack, only to discover their irregular heartbeat was tied to low magnesium. After correcting it with food, the scary palpitations faded away. Imagine the emotional toll of fearing your heart is failing, when the real culprit is something as simple as missing minerals. And then there are the bones. We often hear about calcium for bone strength, but few realize magnesium is equally critical. It helps direct calcium into the bones rather than letting it wander into the bloodstream, where it can cause trouble. Without enough magnesium, bones become brittle, and joints ache more with every passing year. One woman, a grandmother in her 70s, once told me, "I thought my bones were crumbling because of age." But when we strengthened her diet with seeds, leafy vegetables, and a small daily dose of yogurt, her bone density scans began to improve. She didn't need to accept fragility as inevitable. She needed the right support. Now let's talk about the brain. This is where magnesium's influence is often underestimated. It's a calming mineral, soothing overactive nerves and reducing the noise inside the brain. Without it, stress feels magnified, sleep turns shallow, and memory begins to slip. You may forget names, misplace keys, or lose focus halfway through a conversation. Many of my patients blamed these issues on aging, but when we restored magnesium levels, they noticed a striking difference. They described it like a fog lifting. One man in his 60s even joked that he felt sharp enough to start doing crossword puzzles again, something he'd abandoned years earlier. But perhaps the most insidious effect of magnesium deficiency is its role in chronic disease. Low magnesium is linked with higher risk of type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and even stroke. These aren't small inconveniences. They're life-altering conditions that can strip away independence and joy in later years. And yet, every day, millions of people overlook the very foods that could lower their risks. It's a tragedy hiding in plain sight. What makes this worse is that modern lifestyles accelerate the problem. Coffee, which so many rely on for morning energy, actually increases magnesium loss. Alcohol drains it too. And the stress of modern living, tight schedules, financial worries, health fears, pushes magnesium out of the body faster than it can be replaced. It's a vicious cycle. The more stressed you are, the more magnesium you lose. The more magnesium you lose, the harder it becomes to handle stress. I recall a man named Daniel, a 55-year-old executive, who lived on caffeine and late nights. His anxiety was through the roof. He thought he needed stronger medication, but when we examined his nutrition, he was practically starved of magnesium. After a few weeks of simple food adjustments, chia seeds in the morning, salmon twice a week, and dark chocolate instead of pastries, he looked at me in disbelief. "Doc, I still have stress at work, but it doesn't crush me anymore." I can breathe. That's the quiet miracle of magnesium. It doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes your ability to handle them. In the next part, we'll turn this knowledge into action. I'll show you exactly how to create meals that deliver 500 milligrams of magnesium daily, without supplements, without stress, and without spending a fortune. Practical, simple steps you can start using today. Let's bring all of this together now. Knowledge without action doesn't change a thing. The real transformation begins when you take this information off the screen and into your kitchen, into your everyday meals. And here's the truth. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to become a gourmet chef or spend hours planning your meals. Small, intentional choices stack up. A spoonful here, a handful there, and suddenly your body has the magnesium it's been craving for years. Imagine your morning. Instead of reaching for white toast or sugary cereal, you stir a spoonful of chia seeds into a cup of yogurt. That's almost 50 milligrams of magnesium in a single move. Add a sprinkle of flax or pumpkin seeds, and you're closer to 100 milligrams before you've even left the breakfast table. Compare that to the emptiness of white bread, which gives you practically nothing. Which one will your body thank you for? Now picture lunch. Instead of fast food or another deli sandwich, you build a plate with a piece of grilled salmon, a side of steamed broccoli, and maybe a handful of black beans prepared the right way. That one meal delivers another 120 to 150 milligrams of usable magnesium, along with protein and healthy fats that keep your energy steady all afternoon. No crash, no grogginess, just a steady current carrying you through your day. And dinner? A bowl of quinoa or buckwheat alongside roasted Brussels sprouts, a small portion of chicken or fish, and a sprinkle of hemp seeds on top. Then, if you'd like, finish with a square of dark chocolate. By the time you've set down your fork, you've easily crossed the 500 milligram mark, without a single pill, without straining your wallet. I once worked with a couple in their late 60s, both retired. They were skeptical about changing their diet. They loved their habits, their bread, their sweets. But I asked them to try a 2-week experiment, just 2 weeks of making these small swaps. By the end, they both felt different. The husband, who always fell asleep in front of the TV, stayed awake through his favorite movies. The wife, who used to wake up 3 times a night, finally slept 6 hours straight. They were shocked. "It feels like we rolled back the clock," they told me. And really, they hadn't rolled back time. They'd given their bodies the minerals they were missing. Now, as we close, I want you to reflect on something. We often spend money chasing solutions, bottles of pills, expensive treatments, endless gadgets, when the answer is right there in front of us. Food is powerful. Food is medicine. And the choices you make today will ripple into your future, shaping how you age, how you move, how you remember, and how you feel. Don't underestimate the difference of a handful of nuts, a sprinkle of seeds, a piece of fish. Those simple choices rebuild your foundation day after day. So here's what I'd love from you. Share in the comments below which magnesium-rich food surprised you most from this list. Was it dark chocolate, seeds, dairy? I read every single comment, and I love hearing your stories. It helps me know what connects with you most. And if you found this video valuable, please like and share it. Spread this information, because you never know whose life might change with a simple shift in diet. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Longevity channel. This is more than a channel, it's a community, a family of people learning, sharing, and growing together as we choose healthier, longer, more vibrant lives. When you subscribe, you'll be the first to get new videos, insights, and practical tips to help you age not just longer, but better. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, magnesium isn't just a nutrient, it's the spark your body needs to live fully. Give your body that spark and watch how your energy, your mood, and your health begin to shift. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay strong, and choose food as your daily medicine.